Welcome to a galaxy far, far away. Here at the Cantina podcast, we provide top shelf service, including rumors, leaks, news, and reviews. Come in, order a Loman Ale, and remember, no droids allowed. No, that wouldn't have been good. But what is good is welcoming everybody here to the Cantina. We're part of the big LRM Online family, so visit lrmonline.com every day for all of your entertainment news, needs, and opinions. We're here on the GenreVerse podcast network, wherever you get your podcast from, available on YouTube as well. If you're watching us, thank you so much. Please hit the subscribe button and join us in the discussion in the comments below about Obi-Wan Kenobi, sponsored by the good folks over at Grow Generation. A little bit more from them later in the episode. I am Kyle Malone, and today it's only two of us. I'm joined by my usual co-conspirator, Cam Clark. What's up, bud?
Nothing much. All good. Yep, just the two of us today.
Yeah, Shocky's doing the teacher on summer vacation thing and bolted out the week after school lets out. I don't blame them. My dad and my sister are teachers as well. So, yeah, man, we're penultimate episode of Obi-Wan Kenobi, and initial kind of spoiler-free reaction from me. Overall story and tone and kind of consistency, but better than last week, even though, like I said, because there was no canon shattering moments last week, that it was my favorite episode yet. That was a little tongue in cheek. This episode, kind of same thing, a lot of really cool fun moments and stuff, but again, some technical issues keep piling up. There was a big, what I think was a big ADR flub up, which also made the visuals suffer as well. There were, again, these claustrophobic feelings, and I'm not meaning just in the cave. There, and I'm sure we'll get into some other things when we start breaking down some of the spoilers and beats. But I mean, overall, this episode had a lot of what I was hoping would be throughout. You know what I'm saying? More of. I do think that this episode again showed some really poor writing choices, especially back in episode 3, which we'll have to get into a little bit later as well. But what do you think of this episode, Cam?
I mean, overall, I thought it was a lot better than last week. There was, again, like you, some technical issues I had with it to do with editing, set design, sort of shot composition, which I think could have made this great, and therefore it wasn't absolutely great. But overall, I kind of liked most of what was on offer. There was more character development this week, which just seemed to have been thrown out the window completely last week for me. And we saw some arcs progress, and as always, Vader steals the show when he's in it, and I thought once again the Vader stuff kind of stole the show a little bit this week without getting into some of the actual spoilers of it. There were definitely some issues with it, but overall, if kind of last week was a dip, I think this one's kind of took it back up a little bit again for me.
I see that. Did you have like a letter grade yet in your mind? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I did review it earlier on after watching it, and I've given it an A score for the moment. I kind of dithered with it a little bit, but I found this episode quite rewatchable compared to some of the other ones. There was a reason that I'll get to when we get into the specifics, that I wanted to watch the episode again, which I don't normally do, till maybe after the fact, usually not when I'm reviewing it anyway, but this time there was a few issues I wanted to look at again. And when I watched it back again, I found myself kind of rather enjoying watching it a second time. just in terms of how it all fits into the overall Star Wars narrative, if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
I think it would be, I guess what I'm saying is it would have been an A+ if it wasn't for some of the issues that I had with it, which were to do with, like I said, editing, maybe a few writing choices, some sort of set design issues, shot composition, these kind of things. If they had been there, this could have been truly great and been an A+, but I kind of did it with it being an A-, and I may reserve the right to drop it down one if I feel so. I really did. I just wasn't sure which one of them to go with, and I kind of just went, well, if I'm not sure, I'll go with the more positive one. So that's the way I kind of graded it.
I believe I think I can actually look back on it, but I believe I rated the
welcome
first. Whoops, sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. I'm trying to go back to past episodes to look at grades. I believe I rated the first episode. We kind of rated the first 2 episodes together, and I gave him an A-.
Yeah, I think
overall.
we were both there. Yeah.
Yeah, you had given it an A, and if I were to go back, I would say probably stick with the A- for episode 1. Episode 2, maybe like a B+, maybe even just a regular B. I'll stick with what I said about. I think I'll stick with what I said about 3. What did I say? I think I gave 3 like a B+, or I gave it a B+. I'd actually change that down to a C now after this episode. It's really hard, like you said, to ignore a lot of things, and that includes things that even happen in past episodes, which I'll get into in the spoilers on why I would knock down episode 3 more, and then this stays at a B+. I can't ignore everything when it's this connected in one series. Things like writing, technical issues that just continue to plague it, and kind of depending on, thanks to the cliffhanger and some of the bad writing in all of this, how that cliffhanger goes into the next episode. This might even drop down to like a B-. So yeah, for right now, because there's a lot of better than last week. Yeah, sure, B+, but I still reserve the right to drop mine as well. So,
overall so far we're 5 episodes in before we get into spoilers, and I think what I would say is I think overall this series has been a good idea. I think it's been a good idea on paper. I think they've tried to do a good job with it, but they've not quite achieved that in a lot of different areas so far.
Execution. Again,
not seeing the finale and how it all plays out, but that's my feeling on it so far, that it could have been great. And it's just okay, if that makes sense.
Yep. No, I agree 100%. So anyways, I guess we'll go ahead and give a spoiler warning, and let's talk instead of breaking it down good and bad, let's just kind of go through, not frame by frame or old Cantina style, but let's just tell me what your thoughts are, what points in the story really worked or didn't work for you, and I'll chime in, I guess.
You might be more negative than me, so I'll kind of start off with some positives. I liked almost everything to do with Vader. I thought Vader was really well we really got to see a bit more of his character. I loved how the story was set around a kind of lesson, that Anakin was learning from Obi-Wan, and that it was kind of telling us that, it's kind of framing it that Obi-Wan is still in Anakin's head and can still anticipate him and his failings, and use that to his advantage, which I think was a great idea for how to play this show. A couple of little things added in here and there would have made that work even better for me, but we'll get to that. The way I loved the way kind of Vader seemed to just already know what was going on with Reva. You know, it was like this wasn't new information. He didn't suddenly feel this happening. It was just, oh, the moment's come. You know, the Grand Inquisitor was already revived, resuscitated, whatever. Would have, of course, filled Vader in on everything. Vader would have started to work all that out, and, you know, he was completely ready for it. And the way he kind of absolutely handed her ass to her in terms of the battle, you know, you kind of just did get that feeling that this guy is the most powerful Force user we've seen, you know, which we maybe didn't always get from the original trilogy because of the kind of limitations that we had at that point.
Lightsaber tech itself.
So everything was always understated from Vader, you know, and we don't have to do that now. So it's kind of cool to see him just at his raw best, where he's basically not even using a lightsaber and not letting her touch him, you know, which is, it just shows how far above him she is. I mean, my guess, I don't know if there's any canon to do that. I know canon, the Inquisitors aren't fully trained like Sith and Jedi are, you know, they're trained to a point and kind of left there because they don't want them to be a threat. But I'm also guessing that they don't necessarily pick the most inherently powerful ones either.
Probably
you know,
not.
because those would be, again, too much of a threat for what they're looking to do. So I kind of expect to see that power difference between the two of them anyway. So I thought that was pretty well done. I like that we're kind of starting to see glimpses of old Obi-Wan Kenobi, new Obi-Wan Kenobi. We're starting to see kind of glimpses of where his character is going in the future and maybe has been in the past, quite subtly, in terms of, you know, the way he kind of organised things, the way he like last week when our episode 3 we talked about how we felt that Obi-Wan was scared of Vader. He was literally scared, and that fear was overpowering him. To me, what we saw this week is the fear kind of go, and Obi-Wan just reacting to the situation. That initial fears kind of dropped away, and he's coming back to something more like what we would have expected again to see him. I quite like the Tala death scene, despite me then having some editing issues with it again. After that, I kind of thought it was reasonably dramatic in the way it was done. Overall, I loved the way Vader kind of held on to the ship. Pure kind of like raw power moment, ripped it apart. Again, though, I had some editing issues with the way that's all done. So I don't want to kind of go on too much before you get to jump in. What about, I mean, I don't know, I've kind of talked about the things I like to begin with. Is there anything that I've missed that you want to talk about?
I mean, I'll try to be a little positive. I like the Vader Reva fight as well. There's some story stuff that seems really, really dumb. There's some editing choices where her and Kenobi are having their conversation, and you're just like, man, you know, the stormtroopers are really, really close, and they all have hearing enhancements and stuff for combat.
I actually thought that as well, and I went online to see if anybody else had picked up on that, and of course they did. And somebody said, it was on, I don't know, somewhere, that, you know, that's basically Robot Chicken get their next episode right there. You know, I do it from the Stormtroopers' point of view.
Yeah.
Like saying, oh, she's talking about getting Lord Vader. Should we say something? No,
I know, right?
I ain't saying anything.
I'm not. You know? I'm not getting into it. Let it happen. I did appreciate the fight there, though. I liked Kenobi's like thoughts and connection to his like past, you know, his master side again, like you said. And the duel between Anakin and Obi-Wan was kind of a surprise. We weren't tracking that, right? We were thinking there was going to be 2 meetings or something like that. We figured they would both be suits, but I don't know. Were we thinking?
All I really knew for sure was that there was some kind of flashbacks. I had heard rumors that one of the flashbacks might show them in clone armor during the Clone Wars.
A lot of people have been hoping.
There was a lot of people hoping for that, but I don't know. The only thing that I ever felt was solid was that there was going to be flashbacks, and the reason I always felt that, and you and I always talked about this, is why get Hayden Christensen back if you're not going to have some flashbacks. And it was,
and he's only in the suit sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's talked about that. So of the other actors that play him, he's not tall enough to play the suit. It just wouldn't work. He would need to wear crazy stilts. So they get someone that size to show the physicality of Vader, but he gets to do some of the close-up stuff. And, you know, the fighting is also because you need to be able to fight in the suit, not just, you know, he can fight, as we saw in the flashback, you know, he can still do the fight as Anakin, but can he do the fight in the suit bit? And that's where they get a proper stunt performer for that. It just absolutely makes sense.
It's fine. It's fine.
You know, they're doing what they could, but it was good to see him in some ways.
Yeah, you know,
I know you may not.
It was fine. It was good for what it was.
What about the elephant in the room, if you like, though, and the fact that he looks, you know, really old to play.
We'll get there. Yeah, we'll get there after the ad break. Yeah, we'll get into some of that, because then we're getting into some of the technical issues, and then I've got some writing issues I'll bring up to you as well after that. So yeah, guys, let's take a quick word from our sponsors.
Grow Generation, where the pros go to grow. For all of your cultivation needs, Grow Generation has the right products, service and staff to make your grow successful. Go to www.growgeneration.com, where the pros go to grow.
Yeah, it's not too bad. Not too bad. Anyways, thank you guys for sponsoring the episode. So you mentioned Hayden and his look, and yeah, absolutely. Man, not everyone in Hollywood is alike. Not everyone goes for cosmetic surgeries. Not everyone's into injections and things like that. But man, the fact that they made Ewan look younger than they managed to make Anakin make Hayden look as young, you know, episode 2, 3 Anakin.
Yeah.
It is rough, and but you have to wonder.
You know, it's because of the moment they chose, though, right? They choose a pre-Attack of the Clones moment to show, right? Now I get why that makes sense thematically, but Hayden was just a kid at that point, really. You know, I mean, he was under 20. There's a difference between making... Now, I could have believed with the long hair down and stuff like seeing the shots of the Order 66, which are Hayden now, because, you know, they weren't shot back then. I think it looks fine. So, you know, for me, it's the fact they chose him when he was so young.
Right. And what I was saying, I wasn't suggesting that he would go out and actually get cosmetic surgery. I was saying, you know, because of the fact that not everyone does, you got various ages in there. However, if you're going to be using de-aging, and he does have very visible lines in his face, and that's not calling them bad or anything. Many of us do as we age, but that gets harder to erase the deeper they are. So you have to start looking at things like, are they open to something like a Botox or skin tightening cream? There are temporary creams and stuff that you could use. And I'm sure they did some things and then laid over some CGI, but they didn't do enough to kind of smooth out the face for it. And it is very, very distracting.
It kind of felt like, to me, like they didn't use the de-aging tech. It seems to me like they kind of made the decision, okay,
just practical, barely.
Let's just do this. You know, Hayden doesn't look that old. I think the fans will kind of go with it. But I think there's an argument to be made for it in terms of it felt quite pure because it didn't feel the same as the look deep fake stuff. You know, which Mark Hamill's there, but
which
we
wouldn't need super deep,
not as much anything as that. But I kind of appreciate the fact they just kind of ran with it, and that since it's a flashbacky kind of dream sequence, maybe we're seeing it from the point of view that, you know, the way they see themselves or something. I
Man,
mean,
you
I know,
like to bend over backwards for things. I refuse.
I guess
they
what
could
I'm
have
saying
done
is
better.
the reason is, you know, because I'm not sure making it more CGI would have made the scene better. That's where I'm kind of in two minds with that one, you know?
Exactly. That's why I was saying, like, there are other physical things that you can do from a latex, from temporary creams and stuff that help tighten skin. Usually they're like vasodilators or constrictors. There's all sorts of things that are there, and it was that noticeable. You know, like you know, it was the first thing I noticed when he was on screen. I was like, damn, he looks old. And he's only three years and change older than I am. So I know I look, you know, I don't look much younger than nearly 40. Like, he doesn't look much younger than being 41. It was noticeable. And again, it's one of those things where you tie on all the other noticeable, like either budget cuts or editing flubs or not giving a hoots. It gets annoying. But overall the duel was fine. It wasn't as flashy as I expected them to be a lot more flashy in those flashbacks. And
so it was a bit more back to Phantom Menace again, if you like.
Exactly.
They went for that style, but they didn't get carried away. They pulled it back
and
a
that
little
made
bit.
That made it a
And
little
it made
bit
it
better.
I agree.
Exactly. Like I said, I was expecting it to be more flashy. But I expected them to do at least 5, 6 seconds of the same move for 5, 6 seconds straight, not hitting anything. And then, you know, you mentioned some other editing issues. Like, what did you catch? I caught some ADR mess up in Leia's vent scene.
I don't know if I caught that one, so I'll be honest with that. Here's the issues I had. Right, first one was in the tunnel. Right, so after Tala gets killed and, you know, boom, big explosion, Obi-Wan and that go behind the door. Obi-Wan then walks past that same point several times back and forth after that. And there's like just a few near the door, there's a few stormtrooper bodies lying, but he's basically walking back bits of Tala, surely, all the time there. You know, I kind of would have led to see that maybe there was a slight cave-in and they used a different door, you know, to make that seem as if there was a reason why we weren't going past that point. I know that might not be a major thing, but I just can't, every time they walk past there, I just kind of thought, you know, you just walk past bits of Tala, there's a bit of Tala's toe, there's a bit of a brain, you know, every time Obi-Wan was walking past, kind of thing. And then I like the scene where he pulls down the ship, right?
Right.
But this is the reason I had to watch it back, because when that other ship comes up from behind it and goes away,
it doesn't look like it's
like it's been there. And I had to go back to make sure there was a ship there, because I was actually convinced that there wasn't, and that there wasn't a ship that we could see, and there wasn't one Vader could see, and it just appeared out of nowhere.
Yeah.
When I went back and watched it, there is a ship there, you know, you can see it. It's kind of pushed over to the side though, a little bit, you know, and I think they needed to do something visually to just make that more obvious. One of the ideas I just came up with when I was thinking about it from a review was Obi-Wan just looking at both ships and saying, like, I have an idea, you know, or something like that, you know, just to really draw attention to the fact that there was two of them.
Right.
Might have worked better, because we kind of see it coming, so you see it. It feels like part of Obi-Wan's cunning and his plan, rather than good job they picked the back ship, not the front ship, or they'd have been fucked, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
I guess they wanted it to be like a...
Was there anyone on it? I get that it was a decoy.
I would hope it would be a remote.
You know, set it up a little bit first, because then when you don't know what's happening, but when you get that payoff, you go back and you see it again and you go, right, okay, you know. That's where that came from. I think that would have worked a lot better. Equally, in the scene after that, I'm thinking to myself, why? So, right, Reva has decided, or we find that Reva wants to kill Vader, right? She clearly doesn't think she's strong enough to just take him on his own. So Obi-Wan suggests he'll be focused on her. Why not?
On him, yeah.
Why not have her attack him as he's written so he's focused on that ship pulling it away, and it could have been an extra distraction to help the ship get away. They could even have a shot of like Obi-Wan looking at the window and thinking like, I've left her to her death, but hey, I've got away. That's just the way it goes, kind of thing. And then
like she lops off with one of his robot arms or something, and then he beats the shit out of her.
Or even
Sith
he
style.
could still just stop it, but he's like
now he's
for
distracted.
A second, he's not sure which way to go, and he thinks, okay, I need to kind of save my life here. So he lets the ship go. The other ship blasts off, and he goes, right, okay, that's for another day, and then he deals with her.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Much better writing there, Cam.
Would have worked a lot better than just her attacking him after he's sitting there watching it, because I don't know, it just felt like the wrong moment to do that, if that makes sense to you.
It does. And that kind of brings me on to the writing issue that I wanted to talk about. So you remember episode 3? You remember everyone debating on why Vader let him go? So some people wanted to try to defend it. Well, he was on the other side of fire. There was a droid carrying him away. He was distracted. A dude, again, in live action, pulls a fucking starship. I love it because I know Vader can do it. So the whole he couldn't use the Force thing, gone, right? And then there's the he let them go. He let Kenobi go argument. And I would remind people that sorry, I'm getting a little nauseous, so I'm gonna have to put on my glasses looking at these screens with the light coming in at them. He, right before, after he defeats Kenobi, blasts him across the fire, he tells his stormtroopers, go get him. He had every intention of taking Kenobi, right? Then he has Tala come in to save the day, and he doesn't crush the droid, doesn't lift the body, doesn't stop the fire, doesn't do any of these things because he wanted to let him go. But then in the next episodes, he's fucking furious every time Kenobi gets away and is constantly chasing him again. Again, he's chasing him. And so this episode where he's completely enraged, ripping this ship apart with the Force, and we're supposed to believe that you guys just what's going on, Cam? Tell me that doesn't fucking bother you as god awful lazy writing, because
what do you mean, going back to episode 3 we're talking about?
Yes, how that 3, 4, and
that's
5, none of it makes fucking any sense. It's garbage fucking writing. Joby Harold is an awful writer on this story. He can't even keep a theme of whether or not Vader wants Kenobi to train her and get better or not. Like, literally, episode 3 makes zero sense now.
Yeah, I mean, I had an issue with that at the time, and we said what we kind of needed in a future episode, which we haven't got yet, is a moment where we kind of maybe understand where Vader's headspace was at that point.
Two more episodes show that he's pissed when he gets away. No, I'm saying that the next 2 episodes showed, episode 4 and now episode 5 showed that he gets mad when Kenobi gets away.
Didn't want him to get away, so why didn't they had to set that up better? Absolutely. It's a great moment, and it is kind of ruined by that ending because he does just literally let Obi-Wan go away for no discernible reason. Now, I think Hayden Christensen did an interview recently, we covered it, where he kind of said in Vader's headspace at the time that the way he thinks of it is that Vader's really kind of disgusted by how much the Force isn't with Kenobi anymore, and just really kind of
that's the idea that he lets him get away, but it's not backed up by actions.
What comes next? You know what I mean? So actually, if we'd had a couple of maybe dialogue scenes with Vader where he maybe explains to Reva or one of the other Inquisitors why he's done what he's done. You know what I mean? Like maybe, I didn't let him get him away for him. I want to catch the Vader. Like if it was his plan to put the the thing
but
on
then
the droid.
You would have had to rewrite 4 and 5.
Yeah.
It is awful freaking writing, man.
That's what I mean. Like I do agree with that. Like that whole to make that work and follow it through, for it to be Vader's plan, just makes more sense to the character and helps resolve why he got away in the first place, because you still haven't properly explained that. I agree. Like this week he got away, I'm okay with. I kind of like how he got away because
it's better than a trench coat hiding a child.
Yeah, I mean, they use a distraction and they bugger off basically. And Vader doesn't have time. He's just drained himself by doing all of that, and then the kind of other shit that's going away. Adding Reva attacking him into the mix, and then you make a doubly good reason for why he gets away again, and you can start playing into that and make it okay. So the reason Vader let him go the first time was to get to Jabin. Right, and then he's finished with Obi-Wan, but he's raging this time because he really didn't want him to get away this time, because you know what I mean. So that's how I would have structured that whole.
They've got what 40 some odd minutes to close that gap.
It's not going to happen. I mean, it's not going to happen. I think all we have to do is look for a conclusion to where the story goes. Now Vader's still chasing him. Leia has to, we know Leia has to get back to Alderaan. Obi-Wan has to get back to, back on the right path and back to Tatooine. It looks like Reva might be heading to Tatooine because she picked up that little bit of the message from Bail, which, by the way, a few fans agreed with me online, like Bail just sending a message. Hey, I know shit's really tense right now, and anybody could have killed you and compromised me, but I'm just going to talk about
Send
the boy
this message
on Tatooine.
Mention his kids, the boy, Tatooine. Yeah, dude. There's a lot of awful writing in this show, and then what caused her? Because
that could have been a message from previous that she then they forgot to wipe or something.
But
like
why did she sees the device and then goes over to it? Now, devices aren't imbued with force energy or anything like that for communication. This communication device wouldn't have been like imbued with force feelings or anything. So what really drew her to it is confusing to me. And sure, you could say, well, it's just the force speaking to her. Okay. But what is she going to do with that information? Is she now going to go back to Vader groveling, here, I'll help you, find him, or are we going to get the Obi-Wan, she wants revenge on Kenobi? Because they make it seem like she blames him for Vader doing what he did.
He was his Padawan. Where was he? He should have been there to protect them.
But
and stop his Padawan doing that. Yeah.
I'm not that emotionally invested in that, because they haven't really built much of it through this series. It was just like this reveal, and which a lot of people
were predicting that she was before we got the reveal.
But we didn't know whether or not she'd be blaming. Well, because the kids that you see at the beginning, and people were drawing good conclusions, and I have no issues with that. It's just that they don't ever show her having issues with Obi-Wan himself. You know what I'm saying? And you could say she's obsessed with getting him, but she makes it all about getting him for Vader and then you're like, well, that's the layer, and you're like, okay, but you're not. You're layering so much over it that we don't get to touch that aspect. And now with one episode left, I don't feel invested in that arc.
This show could really have done with another couple of episodes. We needed more time in Jabin with Obi-Wan kind of coming to terms with what had happened in the last episode. At the same time, we could have had Reva and getting into more what was going on with her, more interactions between her and the other Inquisitors, exactly, and how they dealt with the thing. There's a bit more of that could have happened, like stretching out even one more episode worth just to fill in, split up that there've been two very action-packed episodes in a row. Try and split that up a little bit, and give us just something that's just a little bit more character-driven for an episode would actually have been maybe appreciated and allowed it all to just gel together a little bit more. So it does feel kind of rushed in terms of plot rushed. I mean, not,
I agree. So, yeah, man, I'm overwhelmingly disappointed. There's so much good potential just going to waste here, and
but again, I like this episode. I didn't like some of the way it was set up.
No, I mean the series together.
But
the whole thing.
Overall, the series has been a little bit clunky and a missed opportunity for me because it could have been great, but it's when I compare it to the prequels, it's so much better than those. But
that's like gonorrhea being better than chlamydia, dude. You can get rid of both, but they
levels,
suck.
There's like the sequels, the prequels. Then Obi-Wan Kenobi's is definitely above them for me. Yeah, 100%. But I do worry as well about how much is left to wrap up at this point. And I hope next episode is quite a long one as a result, and I kind of don't think it will be.
Do you think that they've always intended maybe a season 2 and that we're gonna see a big, already official season 2 coming, like this ends on a cliffhanger? And if
I think they would have had ideas, but they were waiting to see how it was received. The fact that it's been so successfully received, which to be fair, despite your criticisms, it has been.
But there's been it's very divisive. It's very divided.
It's divisive. There's some of the fan base that absolutely love it, like every Star Wars, and there's some of the fan base that absolutely hate it. But
there's a lot of meh here.
Viewing figures have been higher than any other Disney Plus series, and that's really what talks ultimately, rather than the fan feedback.
No doubt.
So I don't know if it was necessarily planned, but I think they're going to leave the door open in this for more.
So
100%.
I mean, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being you are so comfortable that they can land this series that you're gonna sleep through it, sleep through the landing, like it's that easy of a landing if you've done a lot of airline flying, or is this like crashing to the ground at a 0? Like, how much faith do you have in this?
I'm probably somewhere in the middle, because so far it's not that they've not landed anything. It's kind of like everything's been landed a bit roughly. So like they always get the plane down. It's just that you lose a couple of panels here and there. And one day it's not going to work. One day it's just you're going to lose a wing or something like that. But I think there's enough life in it left to get to the end of season 1. If we get to season 2 with the same writers and the same team making the same mistakes, I would then be slightly more worried.
I'm sorry, people, and I'm sorry, Mr. Harold, but this has been one of the. And look, I'll give Joby Harold a possible reprieve. Editing, we've continuously mentioned not just technical editing, but even some of the like story beats. We know that there was we believe, according to what Mike has been told, that episode 4 had a lot of stuff cut out of it. So we would have cared about Wade dying,
I mean, longer episodes I'd have been happy with if it had to be the same amount of episodes, but longer episodes, that would have worked as well. 55
minutes each, but I'll give him the benefit of the doubt that maybe a lot of more logical scenes ended up on the cutting room floor, in which case the editor needs to be fired. But yeah, this series overall is a even if you like it, like even if you like it, you have not you, Cam, you can respond, but people need to take a look and be like, is it disappointing? Because something can be disappointing but still be okay or enjoyable. I think that's where I am, you know what I'm saying?
To be perfectly honest with you, because this had the chance of true greatness, right? And I think they kind of shot for the stars in this, and it looks, when you watch it now, like, oh, you were so close, but you really just if you'd have just done this, if you'd just done that, these little things that would have made it all tick. And as the series wore on, you're right, they have built up. And some of them impact things that we get annoyed about in earlier episodes as well, rather than resolving them as they go on, you know, whereas that you go, oh, why did that happen? And a really good written show, 5 episodes later, you see an explanation, you go, oh, this actually makes sense now to this character and the headspace they were at. We haven't had that.
And it's hard to see it coming in.
Yeah, no, it's not going to. They don't have the time to do that. There's nothing that's going to fix what happened at the end of episode 3 now. Definitely not. So, you know, it does kind of feel like a stain on it, because ultimately we got, they get so many things right. They got Kenobi himself right. I think they got Leia right. I think they got the basic plot right of what was going to happen. I think Moses Ingram, I think a lot of people have said they've not been that impressed with her performance, but I think I agreed with what someone else said, that there's not enough in the character to say whether we can like the performance or not. She's not had enough moments of self-reflection, or for somebody that kind of feels like a main character in this show, there needed to be more. When she's and Obi-Wan are not together, needed to be more from her side and Obi-Wan's side, so that they were kind of juxtaposing those two stories together so that it builds towards a kind of point. I can see thematically how that would work really well, and it's given Moses Ingram more to do with the character when she's not in front of everybody. Let's see the other side of her, maybe before Obi-Wan notices it. Let's get to see some of that side, you know. So I don't blame the actress for it actually at all. I just think, again, the writing, that they haven't given that character enough. Now, if rumours are to be believed, season 2 could focus more strongly on the character of Reva. Now, I don't know if that's true, because we don't know what happens at the end. Remember as well, see a lot of the leaks that have come out for Obi-Wan Kenobi, they've not been really that accurate so far, or they've had some accuracies, because I've been checking, because we didn't want to do them beforehand, but I've been checking back now, and there's lots of things out of place and stuff that was mentioned that hasn't happened, and stuff that has happened that wasn't mentioned as well. So they've not, I would say they've got some things right 100%, but it looks to me as like it's early information and not finished article is what they've got a hold of, kind of thing. So I don't think we truly know how this is going to end whatsoever.
I know it's going to be scary.
And I do think maybe a season 2 that focuses more on the Reva character might actually get me to feel something for that character more. Because I think Moses Ingram's good. I think the character idea and what they've went through is a good idea for drama. All the pieces are there, but it's just not on screen.
Yeah, it really is. It really isn't. And of course, you know, it all it does is hurt the prequel characters and era for me even more, because here's yet another thing heavily steeped in PT that I either A, don't care, or B, don't like. It's been a mess, and I cannot wait for Andor, and hopefully get a good palate cleanser. I'm excited for Andor, and then I'm excited for Mando.
And Andor shouldn't be better than Obi-Wan Kenobi. Kind of like, shouldn't. Given that what you've got to work with, you're getting the main characters to play with here. Darth Vader, you know, potentially the Emperor, if you wanted to use him, you could have.
Yeah.
You know, Kenobi. You know, these are main big players, not side characters that, you know, that you're making a good story with. And maybe that pressure of dealing with the main characters was just too much for them in the end, you know, because story making sense always has to come first. Then do your fangasm things together at the end.
Let's get the frack away from Skywalkers then. If touching legacy OT/PT characters is this damn tenuous, this damn iffy, stop doing it.
But then what I see from this show is something that could have been so good and
It
just
could have,
wasn't.
it could have been the sequels, could
But
have
it
been
could have
great,
what?
Cam. Solo could have been good, Cam. There's a lot of, we are now saying what could have been more about Disney than even the prequels, because there's only three of those.
See, I disagree because in the sequels, this is more like the prequels in terms that it's a great idea, poorly executed. It's just better executed than them.
Yeah.
But the sequels were well executed with no idea, no grand plan, no imagination of what this was actually supposed to be about other than stringing some set pieces together. You know, that was their problem.
Yeah.
And this didn't suffer that. It just suffered from not having the I's crossed or the I's dotted and the T's crossed. That's what it needed.
Yeah, I agree. Anyways, guys, we've been chit-chatting long enough about it, and time to close out. So if you are watching us on YouTube, hit that red subscribe button. Thanks to all 205 of our subscribers. At least 20 of those are our parents. No, I'm joking. Hit the subscribe button. Check out all the great shows like Animeversal Reviews podcast. We'll be wrapping up Spy Family next week, I believe, at least the first core. We've got Breaking Geek Radio, the podcast, and Marvel Multiverse Mayhem, which is like the Marvel version of the Cantina. Breaking Geek does weekly news and movie reviews, and I also do trailer reactions as part of the genre shot series here on the YouTube channel. And you might want to make sure you're subscribed, because if you're a fan of old school LRM podcasts and GenreVerse podcasts, something's coming back next week. So you might want to get subscribed and hang out. And if you're not familiar with some of our older series and shows, go ahead and subscribe anyway, so you can see what it's all about. All of our shows except for the reactions go up wherever you get podcasts from: Google, Spotify, Apple, SoundCloud, all that good stuff. Hit the follow button, and of course LRMonline.com. Go there for interviews, reviews, news, leaks, rumors, all sorts of things on everything geek and pop culture. So yeah, Cam, anything you wanted to throw out there?
No, just hope it's the good ending, but it's not going to be an ending that redeems the whole series. But I just hope it's decent.
No. Anyways, guys, let us know what you think in the comments below. And if I manage to get this out on Wednesday, tomorrow, Genre Shot live at about 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern time for Final Fantasy VII's 25th anniversary stream. With that, may the force be with you.